Episode of Rendezvous with HR. In the year 2023, 22, sorry, October 1st was the day when we first started this Rendezvous with HR. So today we'll be completing, today is the 12th episode, and we are happy to have one of our, I can call oldest person to be associated with Desi Crew. Rajan might be thinking, why am I calling him old? I remember the first discussion which I had with Rajan, the guest for today. During that first discussion, there were certain points which I didn't know about Desi Crew, which I used to take pride for thinking that I know a lot of things about Desi Crew. But when I spoke to Rajan for the first time, he told me so many things about Desi Crew which I didn't know. So in that sense, he is among the oldest people of Desi Crew, among the first few people who knew about Desi Crew, how it all started and things like that. So I welcome you, Rajan, for today's episode of Rendezvous with HR. It is our pleasure to have you here today.
Same here. Thank you so much, Veena.
Thank you.
And thanks for the opportunity as well.
You're most welcome, Rajan. I think you've been in DC Live platform more than many of us. You've been participating actively in a lot of events of DC Live. So it is our pleasure to have you once again here as the guest for Rendezvous with HR.
Sure.
Without any further ado, I think we will start the program for today. Rajan, I think most of us know you as Captain Cool in Desi Crew. So I think we would just want to start with how this Captain Cool attitude has come to you. I mean, it is all about the upbringing. So we would want to know where are you from and a little bit about your personal life, so that we can set the stage for further questions. Yeah.
Oh, sure. Oh, sure. I am basically born and brought up in Chennai. So dad was a railway officer. So I had spent most of my formative years in the railway officers' quarters. Studied in the railway school, which is managed by Integral Coach Factory. Now famous for the Vande Bharat series of production that happens and runs across the country. So that is where I did my schooling and all. Graduation I did from Hyderabad, Osmania University. Then started work in 1995. After my graduation, I started my work. My first employment was in Johnson & Johnson. Somehow I made up my mind right from even during my college that I had to be in sales. I don't know the reason behind it. But somehow when others were saying that sales needs to be in the rain and sun, and you have to roam around here and there, I was the one, I was very firm that I need to take up sales. So Johnson & Johnson was my first organization. And that's on the professional front. And before I get to the professional front, on the family front, I have one elder sister and my elder brother. I'm the youngest. And dad and mom are in Chennai. They are staying away. And on my family, as far as my family front is concerned, married, have two boys. One is doing his MCA final year. The other one is in class 12. And wife is a homemaker. And that's about it as far as the family front. And coming back to the professional front, started with Johnson & Johnson, then moved on to Asian Paints, all in sales, Cadbury, then Sniffy Technologies, then had a very long stint of 12 years in ILFS before joining Desi Crew. I think that was the time I got associated with Desi Crew. I know Saloni and Thiru from that point of time, way back in 2008. So that was when they started. They came to Jaipur. I was heading the project in Jaipur for one of the government mandates, and they were camping there. So that was the acquaintance I had with Saloni and Thiru at that point in time. And here I am after almost 3 decades of employment, work experience. So now the second part of the question, Captain Cool. I didn't know how this nomenclature came into existence, and I think it is Karthi who set the tone for that, I suppose. And being in sales, it is high pressure game all the day in and day out. So you cannot afford to show emotions there because there are so many stakeholders involved. I think it honed me as a personality, and that is how perhaps. And even at home, I'm like this. So, irrespective of whatever be the gravity of the situation, I just take it in my stride and move forward. Perhaps that's a virtue that I have built over a period of time.
That's wonderful. That's really nice to know. Apart from that, I think I can draw a few parallels from where the Captain Cool name would have come from, the railway background and being the youngest in the family. So I think those could be some additional pointers to that that you've got now as Captain Cool. Okay, that was nice, Rajan, to hear about your journey, your professional as well as how you have been in your personal life. Um, so, Rajan, usually we take the guest through a certain set of questions. So, we would like to know what are their likes, dislikes, and things like that, just to know you a little better in your personal front.
Yeah.
Usually, we have a set of questions: what is your favorite food, and things like that. But I think this time I have changed a few questions to get to know a little bit more about because you have a lot of experience with Desi Crew, outside Desi Crew, and things like that. So, and you have been associated with Desi Crew since 2008. So, in case you were there among the first 3 or 4 people who started Desi Crew, and if you were given a chance to name Desi Crew as something else, what would you
Oh,
what would you name it as and why?
oh, that's a difficult question right in the first. Oh, it requires a lot of thought process, you know.
Something, the first name that comes to your mind.
Uh,
You can change it later. We are not going to rename Desi Crew. If it was, then what would it be?
okay. Infinity Solutions.
Infinity Solution. Okay. And with the term infinity, I can think of like n number of possibilities.
Opportunities, the
Opportunities.
opportunities and the scale, the width of expansion, and the vertical expansion that is available in front of us.
Okay.
That's what
Definitely, it's a nice
top
name.
of mind. Top of mind.
Top of your mind. Okay. Okay. And if you would want to think of a song that you could want to associate with your journey, what would that song be? This song is meant for me. Some song that is meant for Rajan. What song would that be?
There are so many. There are so many because all types of emotion. Because if you recollect, I'm an ardent Ilayaraja fan. So every emotions of life, there is a song in his portfolio.
Right.
So the ups and downs of life, each one there is a song behind it. Even for a happy moment, there is a song. Even for a sad moment, there is a song, and it somehow balances your mind after hearing it. So it can be an instrumental also because I'm a big fan of violin and guitar.
Oh wow.
Though I do not know to play the instrument, but I enjoy the nuances of these instruments very well. And flute, the
Okay.
third instrument. These three instruments, I am pretty always in any of the songs. I go deep into understanding the string pattern, the composition, the arrangement that goes into a song. So these three instruments definitely are a big X from my end,
A
and
true
that's
Ilayaraja fan, I can say.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, Rajan, okay, so you don't want to sing a song for us. One line, at least. Something that you can just think of anytime. I mean, some songs that keeps buzzing in your mind all the time. This is
Hmm.
my song.
So this happened 4 5 years before when I moved to this new society, the condominium which I'm staying now. That was I was heading the office bearers, and there were events conducted generally, and that was the first time in my life that I took the stage and sang a song.
Okay.
So it was pretty. I didn't know that it was a revelation to myself, saying that things. Uh, I can also do such things, you know. So uh, the song part of it will come during the later part of the show.
Okay.
I'll come back to you on that.
Okay. Okay.
Because I also wanted some people to guess, because Sri Lanka has asked some questions. I don't know whether anybody has answered it, and now you're asking me to sing a song. So let me
No,
take
okay,
some
we'll
time.
keep it for the later part of the day, later part of the show.
Yeah.
He promised that he will sing one full song for us. So
Oh,
that's why
lovely.
he's saying, yeah, one
I
full
didn't know
song.
this. Let's keep that for the end then.
And you can see many listeners are there, all are Ilayaraja fans. Maximum of the people who have joined, they all are Ilayaraja fans.
Oh, really? Okay, so Rajan, now you have been one of the person who has been traveling the most in Desi Crew. I think Thiru and you. So both of you have been traveling literally constantly, almost every day. So just wanted to know one of the most kind of a bizarre situation that you were in during your travel journeys, like travel for work. So something that you were like, you still remember, okay, that was the most bizarre thing that happened during my travel journeys. So anything that you would want to share?
Actually, when I make it, because last almost 3 decades I'm traveling, so
Right.
uh, I've not missed a train, I've not missed a flight, I've not
That's
missed
really nice.
anything. So for me, when I make when I make a travel, the kind of planning I do it for myself is pretty. Uh, I would say foolproof to some extent, almost 90-95%. So there is nothing which is a standout or a bizarre experience which I have underwent. Uh, other than that, it's because right from hotel to I do it myself wherever I go all these years.
Okay.
So from to that experience, because that preparation is required whenever I travel. So even this 45 days of Maharashtra that I travel across the Vidarbha region, I don't know the locality. That was the first time I went to those districts, and right from the hotel to travel, everything I managed. That is how I've been brought up, and that is how I prepare myself for any travel.
Right, right. I think
So
you
to that
definitely
extent,
are a role model for most of us. And some of us would have missed the train or bus or flight, one of them at least. So now that you've been with Desi Crew for so long, I think you can relate what I'm talking about. So that's why I think you are a role model in that sense. A person who has planned his journey so well, and that too in a span of last 30 years that you've been constantly traveling. If that has not happened, which means you are definitely good at doing it. Okay. So, if not a bizarre situation, any business plan that had come to you, which you felt was like, oh God, this is something really out of the box, something that you could still remember. It may not have actually taken off, but you really felt that, wow, this is such a good, brilliant business plan.
uh, see, most of the things happen with the government. Actually, the project which I did in Rajasthan, where I was there for 2 years, I think that was a very demanding kind of a project where we covered around 30 districts, doing around 4.4 million enrollments, especially women and their family. So it was a scheme meant for the women, and the kind of travel that was there. The planning part of it was something which I feel was standout. Of course, there was a team behind it. It's not about me alone there. There was a team behind it. There was a huge team behind it, and there were advisors for the project. And when we represent to the government, when we present it to the government, and how they taken it up right at the chief secretary level or the finance secretary who was hemming the project in the government. I think it was really appreciated with the kind of execution. It's not about plan and presentation, and further down at the field level, the kind of execution that happened was well appreciated by the government as well as the political classes. So that was one thing. It is called the Bamasha Financial Empowerment Scheme. So where we did 4.1 million of women enrollment with biometrics and photographs to be taken, and Desi Crew did the digitization part for that project.
It's really nice.
So that I would say.
Okay, okay. So that's something which is actioned also. That was not just a business
Yeah,
plan.
it is just not about a business plan. It was put to execution as well.
Okay. Totally execution. Okay. Okay, so now you said that you have two boys. So when you are with your boys, like now that there is so much of a generation gap, and you know how things are these days with the social media and things like that. So how
Yeah.
do you keep yourself updated to be on the same page as they are in?
Except the Instagrams of the world and the Twitters of the world, which they might be in. I am not there, but
Okay,
that is not a prerequisite to be abreast with information what is there happening around us.
right, right.
So to that extent, almost in sync only, I would say. It's I'm
Okay,
not outdated yet.
okay, 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 okay. Okay, so Rajan, let's get to a little more simple things in life.
Oh
So,
yeah.
what is that you're passionate about? You said you like violin. You said you like to listen to Ilayaraja songs. Something that you're passionate about, something which we don't know. Like could be anything, could be cooking or anything.
Yeah, see, when you are put to when you are pushed to a situation, you you are in a survival instinct, and that is why I started cooking. I was in Delhi for 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't like the rajmas of the world and paneers of the world. So being from Chennai, I don't like
Right,
these dishes. So
right,
you are pushed to a situation where you need to cook South Indian and consume it as well. So
right,
and having had a good tooth in terms of the taste buds, so you have to whatever you cook has to you have to eat for yourself first. So at least to that extent, I started the journey of cooking, and now I cook everything under the sun. The South Indian part of it, the Chettinad part of it, I cook, and traveling. Of course, I like. I like photography. I do photography,
okay.
and
So
uh, I do sing.
there are a lot of people in Chennai who love cooking. I think next time I come, we should have a potluck lunch. At least let me see what you guys can cook.
Yeah, in fact, we did have one of the occasions, couple of at least 3 4 months back, I would say, and
Right.
we did prepare and we had a potluck kind of thing, and that was the time folks here had a flavor of the prawn that I prepared.
Oh, lovely. Really nice. Okay.
Sir, brownie also you missed it, sir.
Yeah, my son bakes brownies and cakes and cookies,
Oh,
so the credit goes to him. So that's not my thing, but he really prepares well.
okay.
He
That's
bakes
nice.
well.
Mhm. So,
So
what's your
during the
favorite food?
color
You
day
said
event, we did potluck Veena. So we did color day event, right? Red color,
right,
green color
right,
day
right.
event. So those days we were thinking. So we got prawn biryani and brownie. So we thought like one more month also we should do, but the menu only from Rajan sir house, not from anybody else. So the biryani was like that. People were fighting rather than the outside food. We have been fighting for the biryani and the brownies. And we didn't believe that it was cooked in home. To be very frank, people are here. You can ask Sudhakar is the one of person who tasted it. Brownie was tasted. I can name the people who tasted what like because the menu was like that on that day. It was really great. Yeah.
Okay, so I look forward to having some yummy food when I am in Chennai next time.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure.
Okay, so what is your favorite food? I know you cook so many things, but what is your favorite food?
Seafood is something I like. Uh,
Okay,
yeah,
that's nice.
because I stopped red meat and chicken long back, so now
Okay,
I confine only to seafood.
seafood.
I'm not what I am currently. I was still more fatter. So
Okay,
in the last 1 decade, I've brought down uh,
okay,
avoiding such foods.
okay. So who does Rajan consider as his role model?
Uh, no, actually, role model are people around us. I that is how I take things. You know, that is how I learn actually in terms of
Right.
people around us. There are something. It is not about position. It is not about the profile of the people. You travel, you get to know something, some practices, some experiences that you undergo. Those are all my those are all the learnings that I take, and I take it. I try to imbibe as much as possible and take the good things in that. That is all. Otherwise, there is no specific personality whom I call it as role model. I only take the life's experiences and take the good ones and move forward. That's how I have been.
That's nice. So, Rajan, now that people call you Captain Cool, is there any movie character or somebody you identify with? You feel, okay, I'm more like this person, somebody whom you identify.
No. Not to my memory at this point in time. But I do not know.
Okay, I think we'll skip that.
Yeah, because actually, in terms of it's not. I have not related myself to any of the characters whom I watched in the movie. So immediately, this question, when it pans out and hits you, I don't have an answer actually.
Okay. Okay, no, I think we'll skip this question.
Yeah.
So, what does Rajan want to do after he retires?
Travel.
Travel. Okay. Okay, and which is that place you would like to travel first?
There are so many places in India which I need to explore, because I have traveled right from northeast to the southern part here. But when I was there in the northeast, especially in Assam, Meghalaya, and all for almost 6 months, the kind of places I ventured out, and it's magnificent actually. So likewise, there are so many other places which I need to explore in India. There are people has the general tendency to travel abroad and go to exotic places, but there are so many exotic places in India which one can explore. But I want to do that actually.
That's really nice. So, Rajan, is there any place abroad that you really want to visit? I mean, I know that you want to visit places in India. One place abroad that you want to visit?
I will two places I would say. One is Switzerland and Sweden. These are the two countries I would wish to, because these countries, in the Norway, Sweden, and all are a socially well organized country where they take care of the people, and our population, of course, is very less.
Yeah.
And so hence I just want to just try to have a road trip or a travel there to these locations. If I Swiss, of course, for various exotic locations again.
Okay. So I think Srilekha had a couple of questions which she got it from the team. So one of the questions was like, if you were made the CEO, right, Srilekha? So what would be one of the immediate things that you would do? Is the question right, Srilekha? That's a question, right?
What is your first thought as CEO in future? That was the question.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so without any prejudice to anybody or any personality or thing, see, there's nothing actually. There are certain values which an organization should stand out for. I think the people makes an organization. I think with a wonderful strength of 1,600 people at Desi Crew, they define the organization, and the kind of talent that we have in house, which has been built over the period of many years, and what is needed for us is the passion and the drive to go the extra mile and deliver. I think while it calls for a very concerted effort from all the stakeholders. This is one thing which I would start working as a CEO if given an opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah. Srilekha, we had a couple of other questions, right? Would you want to read out the questions?
Yeah. So I'll just say the name of the person also, Veena, then I'll move on to the question. So this question was asked by Sudhakar Chennai. So the first question is how to maintain the coolness. That was, you want to ask that question to you.
Now, I don't know this terminology coming up many a times in terms of cool and chill and other. As I said, it is. It is. I think you evolve in life over a period of time. I had all the emotions of anger, angry, and man during the formative years of my employment. All the kind of emotions that is there, but you also tend to evolve over a period of time. So I think that is what has set in, and generally I define myself with respect to the values and principles. I define the values and principles as to how I need to lead a life. I think, and I stick to it. For example, I'm a teetotaler. I have not even tasted any of the booze, even a beer. I'm not smoked, and I'm not even a social drinker. So this I decided right from my school days when I was a school going kid. So somehow it struck saying that I need to define this for myself as a personality. Of course, I'm trying to answer articulate it in this way, but I say this is what I don't want to be. So from that perspective, I define myself as personality, and that is what has perhaps over a period of time evolved. And now Sudhakar is saying how I maintain the temperament and stuff like that. I think that is what has helped me over a period of time. If I answered whatever he's asking.
Yeah, it could be Rajan because they say the more tamasic you eat, you get those tendencies of anger, outrage, and things like that. Because I mean, you eat non-veg, that's a different thing. But the other things that you said, you made sure that in your life you have certain principles which you want to follow, certain things that you do not want to do. Maybe that discipline in your life has helped you to be a little cooler than what others are. So yeah.
Yeah. And having managed team across various organizations, because it is all emotions at the end of the day which you deal with, and as a leader you cannot of course when the emotions run high, then we will have to then of course those things also where outburst also happens, but many a times you also need to maintain your demeanor in terms of handling your team members. You have to take them along, pat at the back, because over a period of time that also has changed. What it was 20 years before of handling a team is not what it is today. Today, you need to pat at the back, even if somebody has done a mistake. You have to pat at the back and do a lot of confidence building measures so that he or she performs. So that is how it has changed. There's a paradigm shift with respect to how I used to handle people, teams, and how I am handling team today. It is two different world, and because again, this also boils down from the fact that it has evolved over a period of time. The youth of today is something very, very different in terms of how they handle things. So I have worked in the 12 years of ILFS. I have worked with people, especially in the rural areas, where we train them and give them employment. So the emotions are entirely different. The requisites are entirely different. So that, as I said, there is no that forethought or a drive in terms of what they would want to be in life. I think the problem starts from there. So with that kind of people, the team that is there, and people who understands that particular aspect of it, they know what is required to be done. But I would say six or seven out of 10 people, the youth of today, do not have that drive. I think that is what I evidently see, and which is the reason I said when you asked for the previous question of what would you do becoming a CEO. So this is what we need to inculcate, and it is a process by itself. It is not that I speak or anybody speaks; it's going to happen. It has to come from within. I think that is the need of the hour for youth as such. So having dealt with such people, perhaps it has refined and made me a personality as what I am today.
Thank you for that answer, Rajan. Yeah, one quick question. Are you a night owl or an early bird? What would you say?
I actually, my rigor, I'm an early bird.
Okay.
And even though I sleep late at night, uh, for example, my all my 3 decades of work, I start from home at around 8 o'clock in the morning and come back around 8ish, 9ish in the evening. This has been my routine in the last 3 decades.
Mm-hmm.
So, however, late I go to bed, and but the rigor of what is as a duty to perform is intact.
Okay, that's really nice. So, what do you do to keep yourself fit? I mean, these days that everybody is just running around, they do not take care of themselves. That is your personal health and hygiene. So, how do you keep yourself fit? I mean, if you have to be running around all the time, and if you have to ensure that 8 o'clock is the time you leave home, which means every day there has to be something which will keep you on your toes. So that has to be with the physical strength that you have. So how do you keep yourself fit?
I have abused my system pretty badly because being in sales in the initial in the years, I used to travel 100 kilometers per day in the bike. So at that point in time, when you are young, the muscles are flexible, and I have all the problems of a cervical, lumbar, this, that, everything I have. I think over a period of time, I started ignoring that pain. In the sense, I don't give too much importance to that ailment. So, and and as I said, in terms of the work ethics, I'm pretty very particular about it, and the discipline drives me to go about doing things as to what I'm doing. And even though we have the option at Desi Crew of working from home, I don't prefer working from home. So even in the thick of COVID, I was out only, so doing other things. But even though that hybrid option is available, I don't prefer working from home. So you can see me at 8:30 in the office, and that's how it I have been.
I still remember the first day you came to office.
I didn't know that culture at all, actually. So
Yeah, that was the most unforgettable day for me in Desi Crew because there was this gentleman who just joined Desi Crew his first day in office. You're in office and you're like, what time does your office door open? I remember that question. And that too after a long discussion. You didn't ask me that question for almost 10-15 minutes. And then when I asked you, where are you? Where are you sitting? And then you said, I'm outside the office. What time does the office door open? And it was before 9 o'clock, I believe. It was just 9:05 or 9:10.
yeah.
So I still remember that first day. Okay. So Rajan, I think we have a lot of people who have joined here. Vinod, I guess you had a question or something. I saw you raise your hand.
Yeah, Veena. So Rajan, can I ask the question?
Hi.
Sure.
Hi, Rajan. So,
Hi, Vinod.
quick question. Let's say you have an option to time travel. Okay. Now, I want to know, what would you choose? Would you choose to go ahead in time and meet your descendants, or would you go back in time and meet your ancestors as to see how they lived? So what option would you choose?
Old is gold, Vinod. I prefer that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Vinod, you stole my question. I had this question for Rajan. Fast forward or back in ages? So,
Okay.
okay. So anyone else would want to ask any question to Rajan? Okay. We'll give this chance for our audience to ask you some questions.
While others are thinking, Veena, I have one more question. Let me sneak in
Sure.
one more
Please
question.
go ahead.
Yeah, so Rajan, if you had, okay, let's say time travel is a possibility and you can go back and talk to the 20-year-old Rajan, okay, who is about to enter the corporate world. What is that one advice you would give to that Rajan with all the knowledge you have now? What is that one advice? I'm sure there will be
Education.
many, but if you can at least have one.
Education.
Okay, focus on it and, okay.
Focus on education because I'm pretty average in that at that, and I do not have a very. As I said, I did my graduation through correspondence at Osmania, Hyderabad, and the college life is something I missed out in my life, and no regrets because it was all for various reasons. It didn't happen at that point in time, and of course, I had this opportunity to do my MBA from Liba, so that was the time where I first time went to the campus and did my MBA. So, education is something which I would like to focus on if I had the opportunity to time travel backwards.
Now that I have Rajan's attention, let me ask one last question. And trust me, this is going to be the last one. Okay, I don't know if you have seen these, but let me ask anyway. Which comeback did you like the most, Rajan? தலைவர் in Jailer or Andavar in Vikram?
Andavar, of course.
Okay. Done. I'm done. Thank you.
Sure.
Vinod, I'm going to edit this after recording.
Okay.
Okay. I was
We
just
have
wondering
more
if
questions
you could
also,
ask him
Veena.
some Ilayaraja related questions, but yeah. Yeah, we have Prabhakar. Prabhakar, do you have any question for Rajan?
We have Tanigai, Karthik, and Mohinder also have posted the question, Veena. So
Yeah, please go ahead and read them then.
sure. So the CEO question was asked by Vishnu Priya, so I couldn't say the name in the beginning. So the next question I'll go to Kartika. So she's asking about your previous work experience and the year of experience you had, Rajan sir. That's the question she wants to know about.
I started my professional work experience in 1995. That was the year I started with Johnson & Johnson. Then Johnson & Johnson till 2023 at Desi Group. This has been my journey. So after Johnson & Johnson, I moved to Asian Paints. I was there for 4 years. Then Cadbury around 3.5 years. Srifi for 4 years. ILFS for 12 years. During the COVID, I took a sabbatical and then joined Desi Crew. I joined EY, Ernst & Young in Delhi, before joining EY in 2022. So it's going to be a year. And incidentally, this is the 50th year of my existence in this world.
Oh, great, sir. I think we are on the right time to have you on the live, I believe. Okay. What she want to share about you is she's saying like he's a very cool and humble person. Yes, sometimes he get angry, but I'm not seeing him hyper at all at any situation. He's very polite and knowledgeable person. So we have asked two things, sir. One, what question they want to ask you with you, and one thing, what they know about you. So the people who know about you maximum, the cool word is there in the sentence, and other comments as they followed. And there was also one more comment from Sudhakar where he was saying like Rajan sir is one of the best organized person, cool leader. He loves songs and like to hum songs irrespective of any situation he is.
I think that levels my in terms of the situation to a large extent actually. Now this I do it at home, this I do it wherever I am. I don't listen to the song, but at least I try to divert my mind to something to diffuse the situation. I think I keep doing it every now and then, and that's how this humming and all. Many of the people here in Chennai office are very familiar with.
Yes, sir. So sometimes they think that I've played the song in DC Live, but I'll tell that no.
No.
So I'll tell them it's not from my side, it's from Rajan's side table corner where the humming sound you guys are hearing it like. Yeah. So there is also a question from Mohinder, sir. You can see in the chat box.
Yeah,
so one big change and
one small change. Yeah. Again, see, organization level in terms of, I think the immediate change that I would want every one of us to work on is to own the actions. That is very, very important in whatever you do, however big or small you work. This is one thing which is needed actually. You have to own your actions. and that's extremely important from your personal point of view as well as for the organization growth. It is not many times the leadership will be able to answer for all the because if it's good, it is for good of everybody. If it's bad, the leadership has to do a lot of answering. Of course, you will do at your level, but at the organization level, a lot of answering that the leadership needs to do. But if all of us, all the 1,600 of us, come together and own the actions that you are entitled to work on, I think that is where the growth happens, both individually as well as organizationally. So that is one thing which I would want everyone to imbibe as an immediate requirement. As one big change is concerned, in terms, as I said to one of Veena's question, that the drive and the passion is a prerequisite. So no more that being in the comfort zone is going to help, because the world around us is very competitive, and even if you as an individual or we as an individual do not mind, but the organization will set those goals. So from that perspective, it is extremely important the organization will overtake you if you are not abreast with what is required of you. I think that is one big change that I would want from each one of us here. The drive and the passion.
Wow, superb. Thank you. So shall I move with next question, Veena? Yeah. So I think Tanika is here. Tanika, would you like to ask your question, or shall I go with that, Tanika? Yes.
I already had a question. Okay. So
Yes, Tanika, I want you to ask in the live. So that's why I called you.
So two questions actually. Okay. So one is my favorite Ilayaraja. Okay. So
Okay.
so
What do you want, Ilayaraja?
who just compared to Ilayaraja, who current musician which you will compare at least to a little bit of close level.
It's all in bits and pieces, because but the kind of emotions that the music brought out by Ilayaraja, I have not seen from any of the other people, because it may be a momentary hit, be it Anirudh or be it A.R. Rahman. It will be a hit for that particular moment of period of time, and after that it dies down. But it has Ilayaraja's songs have stood the test of times, and we are still listening to the 70s and the 80s song as if it is composed now. To that extent, I have not seen any composer who are standout compared to what Ilayaraja has done. But there are some musicians down south now. But again, those are all very, very there for the very few period of time whenever the album is released. But I have not seen any album which has stood the test of time. R.D. Burman, for example, and MSV. Forget Ilayaraja came next. If I need to compare two worlds, Bollywood, R.D. Burman and the Kishore Das and the Rafis of the song. Today also we hear that, and likewise MSV's song, MS Vishwanathan's song, the kind of composition at that point in time, and there is no technology whatsoever which was existing at that point in time, and everything was live recording, sync sound, everything and both the singer and the musicians have to play it together. There is no tracks that existed which is existing today. With that kind of challenge, the kind of composition he brought out, I think that is one musician I would say to answer your question. Tanika.
Yeah, thanks. It was a very detailed answer, but only people who know the depth could really, feel. That's great. And see, anyway, one thing I remember from you, Rajan, see, you told, you were there when Saloni was there. The basic crew of that days. Okay. So, what is the difference you find, when you heard about basic crew? That I don't know whether you visited those days. But what is the current difference you find it? Because we have a lot of developments and new people. So what do you really feel? That days and current days ago. What is it?
I've not, in fact, I have not visited the office of Desi Guru at that point in time because I was in Rajasthan and Saloni and Thiru were here in Chennai. Of course, I know that you guys operate out of IIT Madras in one of the offices there, and not much traction in terms of other things. But the only thing I knew at that point in time is just in the formative years of the organization. That is the only thing I know. And because that mandate of which Desi Group did in Rajasthan is one of the biggest mandates at that point in time, in terms of the scale, in terms of the value of the project, or in terms of the people intrinsic, all of it put together, it was a big ticket project for Desi Group at that point in time. So this is what I recollect then. And now, as I said during my one of the earlier shows in the DC Live, it has grown leaps and bounds from where it was, where it started, and where it is today. I think the opportunities are there, sky is the limit, because the space in which we are in holds a good opportunity for us in terms of growing vertically and horizontally.
Yes,
This is what is
thanks.
meant.
Okay, my last question again. What do you really feel that is there in Desi Crew, which is not in other companies, whatever you worked?
Yeah, I expected this question, but I'm happy that you brought it out, Tanikai. See, I've worked in big corporates, MNCs, and all. The kind of the touch points that you have across the ladder, right from top to bottom, I think, and the kind of relationship or the go-to people, go-to person in terms of the reach, availability, I have not seen in any of these organizations because the platform of DC Live, which is one of its kind, it is not available anywhere. Today, we are streaming live of any of the visits the client goes to any of the centers. They are interacting with other stakeholders, other team members. So these kind of things is not even, I am not, in organizations where I have worked, it never existed. Even though they are technology related organizations, these facilities are not there. I think Desi Crew, with the kind of strength or the size or in terms of other parameters in which we are in, and the kind of the forethought that has been brought out to have such facilities or have such platforms is absolutely commendable. And hats off to the brains behind all of these initiatives and the kind of the relationship or the kind of the approach the leadership has towards the people down the line is also something which the bigger organizations should emulate. I think there is a clear demarcation. That is how I have seen. There's a clear demarcation between the top management and the middle management and the people down the line. Many of the times, people down the line do not even know who is who. So here is our organizations where the CEO goes to the floor, interacts with people over the mail on various other platforms, and that is something even the bigger organizations do not have at all.
Yeah, that's absolutely true point. And even this DC Live is purely, brainchild of Mr. Money. We are just
Yes,
facilitating.
absolutely.
Great, thanks for your great information. That's it from my side.
Yeah, thanks, Sanike. I think the same question was also thrown by Mohinder in the chat box, sir, I think. So Mohinder got
Okay.
answered that. So
Okay.
I'll move on to the next question, sir. So this question is from Herman. Herman is supposed to join in live, but where is Herman, Paul and all? They were trying to join, but they couldn't join because of the situation. The question was from Herman. Okay. So the same thing. How does Rajan sir balance his work life and personal life? Okay, that is first question.
Okay.
So the second question is, how does Rajan sir speak in all the southern languages? Is it interest to learn new languages or experience to help him to learn from different aspects of he worked in the field.
Okay. The
And the third question.
third question, yeah, please, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Third one is data collection is done for 22 Indian official languages. How do Rajan sir see this growth? Will this project expand other language and countries? So curious to know answer for these questions, sir.
Okay,
So these are the questions from Vilpuram team side.
Okay, so the first question is work-life balance, है ना?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the work-life balance is, I'm very poor at that actually. Because when you are there for 12 hours in the organization and you go back home, have your dinner and start your evening walk and have the calls also, I think people back home are used to this kind of grind which I undergo. But I firmly believe because when somebody is calling at odd times, there is a purpose behind their call. So as a leader, you need to understand that requirement rather than getting worked up. I think so. That's the reason I tell all my team members that I'm available all the time, 24/7, 365 days. You can do not hesitate to call me at any point in time. So this is a standard phrase I give it to all the team members and all the stakeholders as well, so that they are comfortable to call whenever they want to call. So this I tell. And work-life balance, I do manage. This is how I manage actually. So there's nothing called work-life balance, and I dabble between both the worlds. And sometimes I get brickbats from home. So sometimes I take it in my stride and move forward. Yeah. So the second question is in terms of how do I manage the southern languages, speaking those languages. It's a survival, literally. For a person on the other side who doesn't know what it is, because again, travel also helped. I have traveled almost all the states in the country, and you need to survive when you're working there. So I picked up the threads of bits and pieces of language, and I managed somehow. And many a times people also feel, "Are you from this place?" I don't know what makes them ask. Because my broken Telugu or broken Kannada or broken Hindi, for that matter, I do not know what makes them ask such questions. But this is the question they ask. But for me, it is purely survival, nothing else. And the third question is in terms of expansion of the existing mandate to other Indian languages. Currently, we have a daunting task of delivering these 8 languages. It's a very complex project, very demanding project. I think if we deliver this 8 and we should be able to, that itself is an achievement by itself. And Indrani is asking how many languages are able to speak. So English and Tamil, of course, Hindi I manage. The rest of the languages I manage. So if because I was there in Assam for almost 6 months during one of the project implementation. So at the end of the 6 months, I was able to understand what these guys are speaking. Of course, I will not be able to speak Assamese, but I understand what they interact, and to that extent, I understand. So be it Telugu or Kannada or Malayalam, these are all on the go. In fact, incidentally, my wife is a Malayali. Not that she's a Malayali and I learned Malayalam. It is all due to travel only, nothing else. It's purely travel, and I have not learned any language. It was all on the go. So I have not learned any language in a proper manner. So purely survival.
Okay. So that's how, sir. These are the questions which I received. So I have one question, sir.
There are 3 more questions on the chat, Shilling.
No Tulu. I don't know Tulu. I don't know Tulu.
One question which is like, we are working on multiple domains. What type of domain do you like?
See, for me, I see various domains as a commodity, because I am a sales guy. Went to technology, sold internet. At that time, internet was, I sold those, the Sifi.com, which is there, the broadband. I was there selling those as well. So being a sales guy, even if I need to package and sell sand, I can sell sand. I can tell the qualities of sand, the binding factor, and stuff like that, and able to get hold of a customer. So for me, domain is not a constraint at all. Otherwise, I would not be doing what I'm doing currently here, implementing this. This is a different ball game. So that is how I view it. So with the background of sales, I see it as in terms of a commodity where I'll be able to sell anything and everything. In fact, in the interview, when I remember this interview very vividly at Asian Paints, where my interviewee was asking about, I was supposed to wear a tie and go for the interview. So he asked me, being in the paint industry, what are the various types, various ways you can use your tie? Because I didn't have any exposure of college. I just come out of my graduation, finished at correspondence, not much exposure. I didn't know what to answer. First of all, it took a time for me to answer that particular question. But I said as elementary as I wiped my face using the tie, because being in the sales, you sweat it out. So I use it as a kerchief. And you have to carry paint. So I use it as a rope tying to the bike. So these are some of the answers I gave during the thing. I do not know what drove him to select me at that in the interview, but these are the kind of questions that I gave, because this is one of the defining moment for me also, that you have to think out of the box in terms of going about doing things. What is not the regular scheme of things. So that's the reason I said I can even sell a sand, package it and sell a sand. So sales refines you as a personality. So that's a limited point I want to say.
Yeah, I guess there is one more question. How many languages you are able to speak, read, and write?
Speak is okay. Read and write is English and Tamil. I speak all the 4 southern languages. Kannada to some extent only, and Hindi, of course.
One last question from Ashwin. Rajan has worked in Desipur long ago. Maybe he can share his experiences of DC as a client and now as part of DC.
DC as a client, because as I said, I knew Thiru has come there. I had the first level of interaction with Saloni and Thiru at that point in time, because it was since I was handling client relationships where I worked with the government very closely, day in and day out. There was a different team which was working on the back-end kind of work for that project. So interactions with Thiru was very limited at that point in time, except for the overall leadership kind of a call. And as I said earlier, the growth of Desi Crew as an organization from that point in time in 2008 to 2023 has been a sea change and a paradigm shift, both vertically and horizontally. I think it is a standard thing. I think this is how organizations should grow. I think, all the founder members are driving this organization, and it shows the kind of passion and the drive in which they would want this organization to grow. I think that's a shout out to all of those people who have been toiling for the last 1.5 decades, and more than 1.5 decades for that matter. And credit goes to them in terms of how they are, and it's still, the opportunities are plenty, and we should leverage on what it is, because if the last 17 years has taken this much time in terms of the growth, I think the next 5 years or 10 years should at least triple in terms of where we are today. That should be the way forward, which I see as an organization.
Yeah, thank you, Rajan, for all your patience and answering the question so beautifully. So I think we are almost coming to the end of the show. I would request you to keep that momentum going with a beautiful song that we were expecting to hear from you.
Yeah.
I think all of them heard actually. Now Sri Lanka asked this question: Who did the teaser? Teaser is mine.
Yeah, I heard that, but we would want to hear it live again.
Okay. Now, this I want because when I did the first teaser, it was in Tamil. So I attempted to sing the Kannada version of a very famous song, and I don't know whether you understood that particular song again, in which I did that as a teaser too. And the photograph that was there, which was going in the background, was taken by me. So that also is. So Sri Lanka wanted some write up. So I said, I think that may not be the right one. So we'll do something different. Is what I suggested to her. So okay, so I'll just sing one stanza, considering the paucity of time and other thing.
Once finish the song, I'll play that video, Veena, because all the photograph was taken by Rajan sir. So I want to just keep it a surprise at the end of the session. I'll just play all the photographs. Yeah. Right, like a wildlife photographer, the photos all the way it was very natural it was. So we'll share it at the end, sir. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Thank you. So here we go. So it's a Tamil song again, pretty old classic of Ilayaraja again. Sorry, pardon me for those of you who don't understand the language. At least music is universal, and I think you'll be able to appreciate in terms of the melody that is there. Albeit this is original, of course, is a beautiful melody, but I do not know how it's going to pan out today. Let me attempt. Okay, all right. Here we go. உறவுகள் தொடர்கதை, உணர்வுகள் சிறுகதை, ஒரு கதை என்றும் முடியலாம், முடிவிலும் ஒன்று தொடரலாம், இனி எல்லாம் சுகமே. உன் நெஞ்சிலே பாரம், உனக்காகவே நானும் சுமை தாங்கியாய் தாங்குவே. உன் கண்களின் ஓரம் எதற்காகவோ ஈரம், கண்ணீரை நான் மாற்றுவேன். வேதனை தீரலாம், வெறும் பனி விலகலாம், வெண்மேகமே புது அழகிலே நானும் இணையலாம். உறவுகள் தொடர்கதை, உணர்வுகள் சிறுகதை, ஒரு கதை என்றும் முடியலாம், முடிவிலும் ஒன்று தொடரலாம், இனி எல்லாம் சுகமே. வாழ்வென்பதோ கீதம், வளர்கின்றதோ நாதம், நாள் ஒன்றிலும் ஆனந்தம். நீ கண்டதோ துன்பம், இனி வாழ்வெல்லாம் இன்பம், சுகராகமே ஆரம்பம். நதியிலே புது புனல், கடலிலே கலந்தது, நம் சொந்தமோ இன்று இணைந்தது, இன்பம் பிறந்தது. உறவுகள் தொடர்கதை, உணர்வுகள் சிறுகதை, ஒரு கதை என்றும் முடியலாம், முடிவிலும் ஒன்று தொடரலாம், இனி எல்லாம் சுகமே, இனி எல்லாம் சுகமே. Thank you for.
Wow. Thank you, sir. Thanks so much.
It's really wonderful, Rajan. It was really lovely listening to you. So, Shileka, can you play that video as well? Yeah.
Yeah, sure, Veena.
ಜೊತೆಯಲಿ ಜೊತೆಯಲಿರುವೆನು ಹೀಗೆ ಎಂದು ಹೊಸ ಹರುಷವ ತರುವೆನು ಇನ್ನು ಎಂದು ಓ ಎಂದ ಮಾತಾಡಿದೆ ಇಂದು ನೀ ಎಂದ ಮಾತಾಡಿದೆ ನನ್ನ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನ ಭಾವನೆ ನಿನ್ನೆ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಜೊತೆಯಲಿ ಜೊತೆಯಲಿರುವೆನು ಹೀಗೆ ಎಂದು.
Lovely, Rajan. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Pleasure is mine. Thank you for all the audience there, and thank you for people who are joined through the audio part. And yeah, somebody wants to ask.
We have Noful with some questions, sir. Yes, Noful.
Yeah.
Oh, madam. Sorry, madam. Mistakenly touching.
Tap under the hand.
So, Rajan sir, I can ask the question.
Yeah, sure.
So, if you get a chance to meet Ilayaraja in person,
Yeah. that's been a long time desire, but I have not had the opportunity. But I think I wanted to see his composition, how the process of how he composes a song. I want to see those recording. I always had this aspiration or the dream to attend one of his recording sessions. I have not had the opportunity, but I love to.
but if you get that one, what will be your reaction? So, if you see in person, in front of you, so at that moment, can you imagine
The calmness. I'll be at peace. Nothing else. I'll not utter a word. I just want to see the process. Nothing else.
Because the reason being I ask is I had an opportunity to meet him in person maybe 5 to 6 years ago. So
Okay.
like you said, we got so much of things on our mind when we want to meet him. I can ask this song and but after we see him in person, we just shut our mouth and just get the blessings and we walk out from the room. So that time only he had a rehearsal for the US program. So he didn't
Okay.
have the time to talk to us, but we just spent some close to 5 minutes with him.
Okay.
But,
Sure.
It was really a wonderful opportunity I had.
Sure. Very nice. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Karthik.
Always like that, Karthik. I think when you go to a temple, when you go to Tirupati or any of those temples, till the time you go there, you will have like so many wishes in mind. You will think of so many things. But when you stand in front of the deity, you just stand there and you just come back. You forget to ask anything. So that's how it is.
Exactly.
It's my personal experience. So that's how it is. Like I just think, what did I do? I mean, I just stood there and I was like mesmerized. So that's how it is. So
Yeah.
some people have that aura and you're like waiting to meet them, and when the chance comes, you don't know what to even say
What
or
to do.
yeah, how to react. So I think it is just experience. So yeah. So
Very good.
Rajan, it was indeed a pleasure to talk to you. It has always been. And I still remember the first day of you in Desi Crew, and it's actually been a wonderful journey with you for the last 1 year. And you said you're 50 right now. So we hope and wish you many more years of good
Sure.
health, wealth, and prosperity, and a very good career ahead. And yeah, we would also wish you to maintain your work-life balance so that your family is also happy with you. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you very much. Thank
you so
to the
much.
audience for being here and encouraging us to conduct such events. So thank you everybody, and yeah, over to you, Shrileka.
Yeah, thank
It's
you.
been a
Veena.
pleasure, and thank you for all the people, all my colleagues who have attended the show, and people who are listening also. I do not know. Thanks to them, and thanks to all the people who are not able to attend today's event, and have a very good evening ahead. Thank you. And you are on DC Live. We care, we share, and we are on air.
Sir, one favorite song from you.
Yeah.
Idukapurama.
No, one favorite song they will play.
They'll
Yeah,
play.
So as Veena said, as she remember your first day, even I remember the first day you joined, sir. So I can't forget that day. So usually I go and request the people because of the busy schedule. I tell them, can you give you half an hour? So the very first day, you were the first person to tell me, can I do the show? So usually I ask like, can you do the show? So you came forward and you said like, yes, I can do the show. I was just wondering what show can I ask you to do, because the first time I'm meeting you, looking at your designation and like all this thing, I was just thinking you were very cool, and you were saying that, like, can I go with Ilyaraja songs? So the 30 minutes you have chosen one few chosen song of Ilyaraja, and talking about the meaning and with the real life experience, you have taken the half an hour show. So still I remember the show. Even today morning we replayed the show. We had a few listeners that time, so they were very calm and listening to that show. So even I will not
Okay.
forget that also, sir. And one more
Sure.
thing, the problem solving method, what you shared. Always you say like, don't look at the problem keeping very close to your eyes. Little bit you have to keep forward, and you have to break it into pieces, so that you can solve the problems very easily. That's what the advice what you gave me. I remember it. So I take this opportunity to thank for that advice also, sir. And we had a very great time today. As Sudhakar said, September beginning is a great time. So thank you so much for your wonderful time. So do
Sure.
you have
It's a
any song
pleasure.
request, sir? Any song request?
Uh, Elankathu Viside from
Okay.
Pitamagan.
Okay. I'll play that song, sir, definitely. So Karthik, what's your favorite song?
Mine is Poo Malaye from Pagal Nilavu movie.
That's also a brilliant composition.
So we'll play both the song one after one. Okay. So first
Sure.
guest preference, second we'll go with the listener's preference. Thank you, Rajan sir. Thank you.
Sure. Thank
Thank
you.
you,
It's a
wonderful
pleasure.
listeners,
Thank you
for
so
your
much.
great support and for your questions sharing with us. Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
So
Thank
you're
you.
listening
Bye.
to DC Live We Care, We Share, We Are on air. Thanks, Veena. Thank you for hosting the show. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Veena. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rajan. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye. Have a good evening.
Yes, DJ. You can go for it.